Hi there, hope you're having a pleasant day wherever you may be. Gotta say, I love these views. Huh? Huh? No? Alright. I'm at Lava Beds National Monument. Lava Beds National Monument is located in really northern California, practically Oregon, near the town of Tule Lake, but it's about an hour and a half drive from the 5 freeway. So, in case you couldn't figure it out, Lava Beds National Monument is known for lava beds and subsequently lava tubes. The area is littered with them. So, why all this lava in this area? Well, that's because of the Medicine Lake Shield volcano, which began erupting about 450,000 years ago. Now, unlike more notable volcanoes in the Cascades like Mount St. Helens, Mount Mazama, which created Crater Lake, or even Mount Shasta in its history, it didn't have a huge explosive eruption that just went off at once. No, instead, over the millennia, it had a series of vents that opened up and just sort of gently spewed lava out. It wasn't this huge cataclysmic event. It was just several ones over long periods of time that dumped out lava over this entire region. Now, what's really interesting is that if you look at a footprint of the amount of area affected by the volcano, it's considerably larger than the Mount St. Helens eruption, the devastated area at Mount Lassen, and Mount Rainier, which are all three volcanoes that we visited in my Cascades video. If you'd like to check that out, go right ahead. But what do you say we get back to this one? Now, like I said, the area is largely known for the lava tubes that formed here, and there's so many of them to explore. This one right here is just a tiny example. It's just a throwaway example. It's on the side of a trail, not even named. There are so many here that you can explore that are named, have trails within them that you can go upwards of thousands of feet walking into them. It's pretty impressive how you can go explore these things. Lava tubes form when lava begins to flow and the outer edge of it starts to cool and harden, which ultimately insulates the hot liquid that's flowing underneath it, until eventually the source of the lava stops flowing and the liquid keeps going, eventually drains out, and you're left with this empty cavity. Now, for our sake, that's kind of meaningless until at one point part of the cavity collapses, exposing the tunnel underneath that we can explore and, make videos about. Now, as they're forming, there's a lot of layering going on. Like a lot of times when you're going into the caves, you can kind of see the cross section of multiple layers on top of each other. Or even when you're walking through, you can see on the wall how sometimes the one of the layers is sort of folding off, is sort of peeling off like a layer of an onion. It's just kind of neat. It looks very like it was a liquid, like it was. Now there are several vents where lava has erupted in this area, and this is one of them. This is the Fearson chimneys. These are splatter cones where lava was ejected and sort of built up this little cone around it and kind of left us with these cool little features. Now this here is Mammoth Crater. Now it doesn't get that name by accident. It's because it's the largest of the vents that opened up here on the Shield volcano near Lava Beds National Monument. It opened up between 30 and 40,000 years ago and sent streams of lava upwards of 10 miles long down to Tule Lake. Now, because of its size and the amount of lava that it produced, they say that it's responsible for upwards of 70% of the lava tubes here at the National Monument. I'm here in the Mushpot, which is the closest lava tube to the visitor center. And it's great for several reasons. It's paved the entire way. It's got great examples of most of the features that you'll see in a lot of the lava tubes here. You can walk upright for a majority of it. There's a couple spots where you have to duck for a few steps. It's decently well lit, and it has a lot of kiosks here to explain all the different features that you're going to see. If you're going to see one lava tube here at Lava Beds National Monument, make it this one. What's really cool about this one is that it's an ice cave, which means that it kind of, traps like water that seeps down in there, and it's so cold down there that it freezes and stays frozen. Matter of fact, when you're walking down, you have to walk down a lot of steps. The metal handrail is really cold when you get down there. Unfortunately, they blocked off the part where the ice is because the more people that are there, the more heat melts the ice, not to mention soot and dirt and things like that. Supposedly, when they first discovered it, the ice was crystal clear, pristine. You could see deep down into it now. It's supposedly not so much. And as a matter of fact, when you're down there, I'm not even sure if I saw it or not. So as for the other caves, they range from pretty easy to sort of intermediate to more challenging. And I stuck to like the easy and intermediate. I didn't try any of the more challenging ones. I went into about 3 or 4 caves. All of them had pretty much steps that led you down. And then at that point, it was either a pretty walkable trail or you were kind of a trail, but you were walking over some pretty large rocks. I'm actually pretty surprised at how wild and rugged the trails in the caves actually are. It's kind of surprising in this day and age, to be honest. But I have to say, despite that sort of element of quote unquote danger that when you're walking through these caves, it definitely adds up the adventure level. It does feel like you're doing something a little more adventurous, because yeah, there's a worn path that you're following a lot of times, but you're still having to choose your steps wisely. You're still having to rely on the light that you brought yourself. Now, about half of the caves were closed, but that was for a very good reason. There's nesting bats in there, that's their habitat, and they don't want people in there disturbing them. I think it's an every year kind of thing at this time of year. They just don't want people in there. So, sure, a handful of them were closed, but there were plenty of them to look at as well. It didn't ruin anything. Speaking of the bats, in order to do the exploring of the caves, you have to get a permit to do so. And what they basically want you to do is just make sure that you haven't been in any caves previously with any of your gear, whether that's your shoes, your clothes, your flashlight, anything like that that's been into another cave, because they don't want to spread this certain fungus that affects bats and gives them, I believe it's called white nose syndrome, and it throws off their eating habits and things like that, and ultimately they die. So it's not affecting bats here, but they don't want it to. That's why they're doing this. So to get here, like I said, it's about an hour and a half from the 5 freeway, which is where I would imagine most people would be coming from, because quite frankly, there's just not a lot out here. There's some small towns here and there, but not a lot of major population centers. Now, I'm not sure if they just don't have huge numbers that come here, but each cave only had enough spots for about 3 or 4 cars. It wasn't a problem today. It was a Sunday, however, it's a COVID Sunday, so I don't know if that's affecting things, but it wasn't terribly crowded here. It was actually kind of pleasant. You know, you'd run into some people here and there. Overall, exploring the caves is really cool. I mean, like I said, some of these, they feel very adventurous. Some of these you're going really, really deep, upwards of thousands of feet sometimes into these caves. Now, I didn't go to the end of the really, really long ones. Like, I was in one that ultimately I turned around because, I was just kind of running out of time. But it's just really neat. Like, some of them are huge inside. I didn't realize that lava tubes could be quite that large. I'm so used to the ones that I've seen prior that, were big, but some of these look like they were pushing maybe 50 feet or so inside. Really, really impressive stuff. So they give you an idea of what you need to explore these caves. Sturdy shoes are a must. You, like I said, you're walking over a lot of rocks and things. Watch your step, take it slow. That's one of the things they do say is cave slowly. You don't want to touch anything. You don't want to, take only pictures, leave only footprints kind of thing. Also, flashlight. For sure, you need a flashlight. Now, I had a regular flashlight that was good enough to see, and it would have been amazing if I wasn't so concentrated on trying to get pictures and video, but I was, so it was tough to do that. So I apologize if some of the videos are just like a point of light. It's kind of the same problem I had at Burrow Schmidt Tunnel. But this one, the huge expansive rooms don't get the justice that they deserve because you're only looking at a point of light. If I got any good videos of the caves, it's probably because I was close to the entrance, or even in a couple rare instances, there were spots that caved in and you had like a little skylight, which is pretty cool. I have to say that the literature that they give you when you get your pass to go do your cave diving, your spelunking, It's very helpful. It breaks down the skill level of every cave and has a little picture of somebody walking, somebody kind of crouching, and somebody like crawling. And the ranger basically said like, yeah, that's pretty much what you'd be doing in that particular cave if you decide to do that. So it's very helpful. Has a little chart that breaks down whether it's paved, whether it's not, whether blah blah blah. It's got everything. It makes it really easy to know which caves are doable and which ones aren't. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't at least mention the Native Americans in the area. The lava beds here are right next to Tule Lake, which historically was a much larger lake. And there's an outcropping of rocks on the eastern edge, which is now known as Petroglyph Point. Now, the Native Americans at the time, I believe it was either the Modoc or the Klamath tribes, they would actually row canoes out to these rocks and carve petroglyphs into them. The level of the lake has dropped considerably, and now the rock is completely landlocked now. The petroglyphs are believed to be about 4,000 years old. And unfortunately, it's kind of a shame because over the years, they've been victims of a lot of vandalism. As you're walking by looking at them, there's a lot of carvings from different people that are obviously not petroglyphs. However, there are a couple really good panels that are, about 30 to 50 feet long that were just littered with petroglyphs that were pretty cool. The rock is also notable because it has a lot of nooks and crannies in it where a lot of nesting birds live, including falcons and swallows. Well, that does it for this one. Thanks for joining me on this trip to Lava Beds National Monument. I know this one is really in that high corner of California that nobody really gets to, but hopefully you found it interesting, you found it entertaining, and maybe encouraged you to come check out this region of California. There's several other things in this area that make a trip worth it, so circle this one on your map one day. With that said, I guess I'll see you on the next one. Hey Lava Beds, it's time to update your decor. Popcorn ceilings went out in the 80s.